On a day when Storm Brendan would supposedly bring 40 miles per hour plus wind gusts to much of England's west coast, of course I decided to head out with my camera. Awaiting me atop this beautiful limestone scar was some fascinating subjects of which I'd wanted to photograph for a long time. I also wanted to dedicate a good portion of my day to some coastal photography. So, thanks to the incredible generosity and support that you guys have shown me in buying me coffees, I spent a good couple of hours yesterday on the old laptop booking my trip to the Isle of Harris and Lewis in the Scottish Outer Hebrides. I'm absolutely buzzing. I can't believe it's actually happening. Look, I know it's in the UK, but the Isle of Harris and Lewis is, for me, as a landscape photographer, in, top 5 desirable destinations in the world, on planet Earth, that I want to visit with my camera. Absolutely blown away by your generosity. Thank you guys so much. I cannot wait to get there. So it's in a couple of months, so I've got a little bit of waiting around to do, but of course for now I'm going to be spending that in this area, beautiful Cumbria, northwest England, and that's not bad for the next couple of months, is it? So I cannot wait to get up there. I can't wait to try and repay some of your guys' generosity by making some awesome videos up there, and I'm just really excited to share with you what is honestly, like I said, a real dream location of mine, and can't wait. Anyway, this week something a little bit different, as you can see, a bit of coastal photography. This is a location that I've been wanting to come to for a while. We've got this up on this beautiful scar here, right down in the south of Cumbria. It's actually just outside the Lake District National Park. It's closer to the sort of Furness Peninsulas, I suppose, which is kind of over in that direction. But what we've got up on this scar, this is something that I've been chasing quite a lot recently on my adventures, is some beautiful windswept hawthorn trees, and they're unreal. Honestly, I can't wait to show them to you. They're really crazy. You're going to understand when you see them. But for now, as you can see, shooting in this direction, no trees in the frame. But what we had over this way, I haven't got it so much now, but we had some beautiful sort of light up in the sky, up in the clouds. We didn't have anything on the land, but because we've got these storms coming in from what's kind of like the west over the Irish Sea, we're definitely not going to get any more light like what we had for the rest of the day. So I kind of just wanted to make the most of it. So I quickly got myself set up here, cracked the old long lens on the front, and zoomed in at 135mm. And what we've really got in this scene is, it's low tide, so we've got this beautiful, what's more of a sort of estuary down here, looking back across Morecambe Bay towards Carnforth, if you know the area. And of course the low tide brings out all these beautiful patterns in the sand, all these channels. And as we had that sort of light in the sky, it was kind of reflecting down, adding a load of contrast to all them sands over there, which was fantastic. So a lot of beautiful shadows and highlights. And then as we were looking over, we had that, of course, those sort of small subtle peaks there, a little bit of woodland on them, which was nice little bit of mid-ground. And the sky was lovely because we had that sort of section of light, section of highlights, little bit of colour I think as well up there because we are around sunrise, and then some beautiful stormy skies sort of stretched across the top of the frame, which is one thing that I always like to capture. 1/8 of a second, f11 ISO 100, so 1/8 of a second. It's quite a slow shutter speed, so I've kind of sheltered myself behind this cairn here. Well, more for the sake of the camera, not for me. I can handle the wind, but when you've got the long lens on, it's best to eradicate as much shake in the camera as possible. So I think that's going to come out nice and sharp. So as I always say, decent little image to start the day, and I want to go and explore some of these beautiful windswept hawthorn trees. They are really, really weird, almost a little bit eerie and sinister. So that's going to be fun. There's also a little bit of woodland down here that might be worth exploring, but to be honest, I'm here for a bit of coastal photography, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. Here is the first shot of the day. So I had a little bit of a wander, and seriously, as a subject, how cool are these windswept hawthorn trees? Unreal. The wind's coming in pretty strong from that way, so I'm going to have to back up else you won't be able to hear me. Only trouble I'm really having here is, yes, it's a beautiful subject, but there's a lot more that goes into a photograph, there's a lot more that goes into a composition, as you guys know. And the background shooting from here is not the best. We've got Heysham Power Station all the way back there. We've got this rotten barbed wire fence, and I just don't generally like the position of this tree. Although I don't really know what I'm looking for compositionally just yet, but I was hoping that I was going to arrive at the windswept hawthorn trees and just get inspired. This one's not inspiring me, which is fine because it looks like there's a few more dotted about over in this direction. So I'm going to keep wandering, see if I can find one that's a little bit more photogenic in terms of piecing together a composition. Let's crack on. Now, I've done something that I do quite a lot, to be honest. I've gone for a little explore around this sky, a little peruse, about 40 minutes, quite a while. Found some more windswept hawthorn trees. None of them were that good, and I've gone full circle. I've come right back to this first one that I just spoke about before with you guys, and the one that I said wasn't really inspiring me. But I've tried to do something different. It's something that I'm learning recently about myself as a landscape photographer, and I'm really hoping this could be some good advice to you guys as well. Is sometimes I think it's actually incredibly beneficial to go against your gut feeling. You know, I mean, you saw me when I first got here. I wasn't inspired by this tree. You know, it's a nice subject, but it wasn't doing it for me. So I kind of thought, you know, it's nice, but nah, it's not really going to work as a composition. I'll go elsewhere. Now I've come back, and what I've done, stuck my bag over to the side with the camera in it, got the tripod out the way, and just looked. Honestly, spent about 5 minutes just looking at this subject, thinking, right, it's growing on me. This is a beautiful subject. Of course it is. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, how can I complete this puzzle? How can I make this into a composition? I just spent 5-10 minutes around this vicinity here, getting down low, getting up high, all different perspectives, looking at potential foreground interests, and it's worked. And the main thing that I've done is I've come to the other side of the tree. When I was at that side, my instinct, my gut feeling was telling me, yeah, that's right, I want to be shooting over to Morecambe Bay. And then obviously I kind of thought, nah, it's not going to work. Whereas this, I think, is going to work nicely. Now, I've got two compositions in mind, two images, and I'm going to take them both here. So I'd love to know which one you think is your favourite. You know, please comment below, obviously, once you've seen them both. So this first shot here, what I've decided to do is really centralise this gorgeous hawthorn tree here. And by that, I mean, I've got the wide angle lens on the front of the camera. I've got really close to it, and it's just simple. This is taking up probably 80% of my frame. No rule of thirds or anything like that. It's just bang right in the middle. There's a little bit of breathing space to the left and right of the tree, and the same on the top and bottom, a little bit of breathing space. But apart from that, boosh, right in the middle of the frame. And obviously that just accentuates it as a subject. And now there's two things that I really like about this photograph, and that first one is the sky. It's quite menacing, dark, gloomy and brooding, and I think that kind of pairs really, really well with this hawthorn tree as a subject. Of course, this tree is the way that it is because the weather conditions up on this scar are generally so harsh, so I think that kind of pairs and marries together really, really nicely. Second thing that I like is you'll probably be able to see in the background there's a couple more bushes or small trees over near that dry stone wall that are also windswept, and they're going to be in the frame underneath this sort of archway here of the tree, which is another thing that I really like. And they're just obviously mimicking the direction of the tree and how it's been windswept, which is fantastic. So that gives it a little bit of background interest other than the sky. And I just mentioned there as well, I've never seen a tree so windswept in my life. Beautiful archway, you've got the trunk, and then this end of the tree as well is actually touching the ground. It's absolutely crazy. So I think in this position here, we're really maximising that shape, that archway shape like that. So that's fantastic. Now I'm managing to get this in one shot, even though the sky's quite bright in comparison with this tree as a subject. But I'm not really bothered about capturing any detail in this tree. It's almost going to be a little bit silhouetted, and I quite like that as well, because it adds to the sort of sinister feel of it as a subject, and then again that matches with that moody sky even more. So I'm shooting at f11, ISO 100 and 1/6 of a second. There's probably going to be a little bit of movement in the branches at 1/6 of a second, but I'm not bothered, because I said I'm not really interested in capturing too much detail or sharpness in the tree or anything like that. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to pop that image up for you guys to see, and then I'm going to move pretty much just over here to where you are to get the second shot. Okay, so this second photograph actually isn't going to work, but I thought I'd actually stop and show you how and why it isn't going to work, rather than just kind of always showing you images that do, you know, come together and come out well. So what I wanted to do was use some of these rocks here in the foreground, which I think are limestone rocks. And at first what attracted me to them was the lines. They're quite linear. However, unfortunately, they don't really lead up to the tree in the right sort of way. And as well, this bush here is just completely in the way. It would have just been a massive distraction and wouldn't have worked. Another thing that wouldn't have been nice would have been that everything would have been quite sort of right heavy in the image. Everything would have been on the right hand side, the rocks, the bush, most of the tree, and then there would have just been all this space here in the frame that just would have looked terrible. Like there would have been no balance at all. One more thing that I didn't like, because I was using my wide angle lens, 11mm, well that was the plan, was to get some of these rocks right in the foreground, maybe even in a portrait dimension. That was kind of making the tree, the hawthorn tree, look really sort of minuscule in the background, and took a lot of the emphasis off it, and I didn't really like that. So beautiful subject, of course. I'm quite happy with the first image that I got, but unfortunately can't make that one work. I think I'd like to return maybe one morning if we had a bit of light, maybe a bit of backlight or side light, I don't know, but really nice to be here and photograph it, even just as a bit of a recce maybe. Now what I'm going to do is go over this side of the scar, because it kind of drops down onto the coast, and kind of try and get a few coastal shots maybe. That's in many ways why I've come to this location today. Wind's coming in, rain's coming in, the storm's coming in, so better get down there quick. Come with me. So the wind and rain has really started picking up now. It was forecast sort of 30-40 mile an hour winds, and I don't think the old forecast is too far off to be honest, but I was thinking this as I was setting up. If I want to enjoy Harrison Lewis up in Scotland in the Outer Hebrides, I have to get used to this, because this is probably a good day up there. So I'm climatising to the weather up in Scotland. So I'm really glad I'm getting this shot, because I'm getting a shot down on the coast, which I thought I was going to end the day without actually coming down to the beach, and that was kind of the purpose of the day's shoot. So I'm delighted with this, I'm so happy. And as you can see here, I'm shooting in a portrait dimension, and I've got the wide angle on the front, shooting at 11mm. So I'm really trying to utilise that wide angle. I've got, like, this is the widest I could possibly shoot at with my selection of lenses that I've got today. It's just a nice classic wide angle shot. We've got all of this beautiful foreground, all these rocks here, which is going to be filling up almost 1/3 of the photograph from the bottom upwards. And then we got that gorgeous headland up there, which is the one that I was up before, up on that scar. And then right at the top of the frame, we're getting a tiny little bit of the sky. I don't want too much in it, because it's not particularly interesting, even though we're getting blasted with winds and rain. We're not even getting rewarded with a nice textured sky, but I think I can make it work, it's fine. One thing that I really want to mention here is my polarizer, and I'll pop it up on the screen here. You can see there, that's without any polarization at all. Then if I start turning the polarizer, you can see it starts getting rid of all that glare on that pool of water there in the foreground, which I like, because it allows us to cut through the glare, capture some of the detail underneath, you know, underneath the rock pool where we've got the sand and a few of these rocks here. And I think it's a really nice effect, but you can still see that it's a pool of water. Now I had to roam around a little bit. As soon as I started seeing these little rock pools here, I thought, yeah, I want one of them in my foreground. I was almost sort of set on it from the off. But a lot of them aren't. This one's really well sheltered. A lot of them that aren't, of course the wind's capturing and you're getting all these ripples that are going across them. I just don't like the way that it looks. Because this one's nice and sheltered, it's not got many ripples in it, it's quite calm and settled, and we're actually able to capture some of the raindrops here on in the foreground as well. Whether or not we're actually going to capture them, I don't really know. ISO 100, f11 and 1/1/6 of a second to get the correct exposure. And yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with this shot, to be honest. On the back of the camera, I think it looks really cool. Top draw. So I wanted to let you guys know that I am still available for workshops, both here in Cumbria and in the Lake District National Park, and actually nationwide as well. You know, if there's somewhere you want me to travel to, please do get in touch. I've actually got a couple booked down in Wales and Snowdonia and places like that. So please go and check out my workshop page over on my website if you're interested in booking me up for one. I've also still got prints available. I've always got prints available. I've put quite a few new ones on there recently. The old Lion and the Lamb print has been fairly successful. So again, if you're interested, please do go over and check that out. Any purchases made there is greatly appreciated and really helps to support what I do here on YouTube. So I'm going to end the video there, and of course thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you guys on the next adventure, which will be on Sunday. Until then, out.